You call the roll, please. There we go. It works.
Commissioner Bolden?
Present.
Commissioner Knight?
Here.
Commissioner Scales?
Good morning.
Commissioner Tyson?
Good morning.
Commissioner Stevens?
Good morning. I'm here. Invocation today is by District 2, Reverend Edward Williams. Commissioner Tyson.
Good morning, everyone. We have our Reverend Edward Williams from New Vision Church off of Jefferson Avenue, and he also brought with him his lovely wife, Chanel Williams, and it's actually Sean Charles' uncle. And I actually visited his church one Sunday, just out the blue. It was no special occasion, and I try to go to a different church in my district every Sunday. I go before I go to my 8 o'clock service, and then I visit a church in my district. It's a bunch of them. So I'm making my way around, and he was really surprised when I walked up in his church. If you can come up and give the invocation, please.
And as you finish the invocation, no, sorry, you placed to stay there. Heather Carter, would you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance?
We thank you for this privilege. Allow all heads bowed and hearts composed. Heavenly Father, I thank you for having this privilege of serving you and the community at large. As we enter into this shared space of governance, we humbly implore your guidance and intervention of wisdom. I pray, Father, that you speak here today, and that you will bridge our divisions and quell the storms of discord. Reign supreme over all deliberations. Remind our spirit to uphold integrity before decisions. Let compassion be our compass, and teach us to model the servanthood of Jesus the Christ. I also pray, Father, that we will uphold what is moral and rational. Let not tradition paralyze potential. Father, you have shown us what is good and what is required of your people, to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with you, O God. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Ready, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rev. Heather, thank you very much.
Got a bad wheel.
Commissioner, we have the minutes of September the 25th that have been presented to us. Are there any additions, corrections, or revisions to those minutes?
I move we dispense the reading of the minutes and adopt them as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There is none. We do have public hearings. We have our 2025 zoning resolution. Josh, would you come up and give a quick synopsis of that for us, please?
I'll be brief. I know you all heard the presentation earlier. Good morning, Commissioners, again. So where we came from this and how we got here for the zoning ordinance update is it is commensurate with the comprehensive plan that was adopted. We updated the comprehensive plan, and it was adopted earlier this month. It's about 15 years or so overdue. From that, we also developed a land use map that kind of spatially goes throughout the county and says what we believe the highest and best use of land in the county is based off existing infrastructure and the needs of the community. And the zoning ordinance kind of gives us the regulation and the teeth and the how to implement these policies and implement these goals. The comprehensive plan process, to give a brief overview of how we got here, it involved public involvement meetings, design charrettes, where we went out to the Gardendale, McCullough, and Forestdale communities and held design charrettes and received survey results from them. And then also just from administrative staff input, as well as case history, rezoning cases, variance reports, and then socioeconomic and environmental factors. So there's a lot of data that went into the recommendations of the comprehensive plan. And then we also met with the majority of the cities within Jefferson County, with the exception of a few, so that we can make sure that our plan was copacetic with what they had. As part of the plan, we wanted to make sure that we conducted a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The big thing that we have is that's a strength within Jefferson County is a strong economic base. We have good transportation access, which bolsters that economic base. And then we have diverse industry within the county. We have medical, we have a lot of light manufacturing, and we have heavy manufacturing. So we're not beholden to one industry should it decline. Some of the weaknesses that we identified that could be mitigated is higher commute times, lack of workforce housing, mitigation of blight, and then that kind of goes hand in hand with vacant and underdeveloped commercial space as well. Opportunities that would address those weaknesses are mixed-use development, medium-density housing, regional collaboration, and then, of course, the Northern Beltline coming in as an economic development tool. Some of the threats or issues that are difficult for us to do anything about are transportation, commute times from counties that are adjacent to Jefferson County that lead to that congestion. And that kind of goes hand in hand with suburban sprawl. And then one of the things we've had discussions with the Home Builders Association is that even though interest rates have gone up, construction costs really haven't gone down, and labor costs haven't either. So strategic goals of the county for the comprehensive plan are really focused on economic development. And how do we balance economic development with workforce housing and also the natural and recreational farmland conservation? So we want to see more industry, we want to see more employment, higher wages, higher number of jobs within the county, but we want to balance that with green space preservation as well as recreational space. And then going into economic development, our strategy for that is to increase the industrial land inventory within the county. We went through the land use map and increased the number of parcels we designated as potential industrial uses. Leverage existing transportation infrastructure like Birmingham ports, and then also cluster supportive industries around UAB West. That's one of the things that we really feel like is an opportunity to make sure that we've got medical supportive industries around the hospital. That way we're using that as a catalytic site and capitalizing on the investment and the incentives that the county gave to bring UAB over there. So as part of the land use map, we had to designate broadly several land use categories. So these basically will have multiple zoning categories that kind of overlap in some instances, but that are consistent with these land use categories. Natural area is fairly self-explanatory. That's undeveloped, undisturbed. Rural is going to be slightly more improved, where you have agricultural land or cattle farming. Estate is going to be your larger lot, larger house. Suburban is your typical around quarter-acre development. And then mixed residential is a new category that we're introducing that kind of provides that working-class housing and workforce housing. On the commercial side, commercial corridor is going to be your typical strip center. Think of gas stations, strip centers that are located near arterials and major collectors. Neighborhood center is going to have a smaller service market retail space that kind of serves the neighborhood and the nearby commuting area. Activity center is going to be things like UAB West or a mixed-use development that kind of has a spillover effect in the area where we want to have more transportation coming in and out of that hub. And then employment center is going to be like a typical industrial park, a large number of employees, and hopefully higher wages. So as you can see from the future land use map, we went through and applied those categories as best as we felt to every parcel within Jefferson County, which was a big lift for us. Just to give a quick summary for the areas that have been kind of high pressure and that we've seen cases come through in the past, starting in McCalla, we designated areas around major interchanges and around the industrial park as activity center. And then also for some mixed residential, if we feel like that it's got a shorter commute time, to employment centers and to the UAB West, as well as the industrial park, and then to the interstate. As you get further on the periphery of McCalla, you start to see that transitioning to larger lot estate and then rural and natural area. And the idea behind that is that we're not increasing sprawl and that we're not having just scattershot residential development. Going into Forestdale, we really recognize that Forestdale has a huge opportunity to redevelop. It's seen some slow but steady decline in traffic counts and slight population decline over the last couple of years. And we really feel like a major employment center or a mixed-use development in that area could really turn the area around. and make sure that we have a good transition there, that we're providing quality jobs in the area that also has that spillover effect for the retail and restaurants that the residents want to see. We also designated Cherry Avenue as a neighborhood center just because of its proximity to the interstate. We feel like the area really could, with some slight road improvements, could probably handle some neighborhood scale retail and service along that area. And other than that, we really wanted to plan around the Northern Belt Line. Those interchanges are going to be important. The purpose of the Northern Belt Line is economic development. We wanted to make sure that that area is not encumbered by something that's not a productive use for the county or that strains our infrastructure. So where those interchanges are planned in the areas immediately adjacent to it, we designated most of those as either commercial corridor or activity center. And then, of course, Jeff Met North was labeled as employment center, and then some of the parcels around it. And also we labeled Hallmark Farms in the Ag Center as an activity center. And then just to hit this real quick, one of the things we're going to be sending to you all when we have our rezoning cases in the future is trying to identify the context and the road layout as well as the infrastructure that's proposed in this. We want to make sure that even though the use is correct, that also the way that the infrastructure is laid out is consistent with what's there and then what's also planned there. So the other goal of the county, or of our comprehensive plan, was workforce housing, and really what we feel like that takes form of is it's kind of medium density housing. And I want to caveat to say that we're not proposing this and allowing this any and everywhere within Jefferson County, but we really do believe that there's a gap and there's a shortage of housing within Jefferson County, and we would rather see that housing in a more sustainable manner clustered around major transportation and employment areas rather than it being kind of sprawled out and expanding our infrastructure, putting a strain on our school systems, our bus systems, and all the things that really decrease the quality of life in the area. So we, as part of that, we identified several new zoning categories to support that goal. Estate 3 and Estate 4 are attached and semi-detached housing. There's just going to be like larger, think of them as larger townhomes, larger duplexes that you would see in somewhere like Ross Bridge. Live-work units are going to be areas where you have maybe a townhome with commercial on the floor, and then a cottage replaced the garden home district, which we've had a lot of proposals for in the past in the wrong areas. And we really feel like the improvements we've made to the cottage district shore up some of those weaknesses by increasing the minimum road frontage and also having increased design standards and architectural standards. Multiplex is going to be a little bit larger, not necessarily multifamily, but a little bit larger development in terms of 6 to 8 dwelling units, as well as building courtyard. Accessory dwelling unit, think of that as like a granny flat or a mother-in-law suite. And that's going to be for immediate family member. The idea behind that is to support our aging population. So if they want to move in with their children, help raise the grandkids, and that also frees up their house for others to move in and increases the inventory in the overall market. And then cottage court, think of that as kind of like a cluster of cottage houses with a common open space / park sort of in between them. In addition to that, we also identified the conservation district as a new category to help preserve some of our environmentally sensitive areas and also increase parks and open space within the county. And that can be fairly diverse, but the idea behind it is that you would preserve sensitive areas like wetlands, ponds, and do something like increase parks in the area that would leverage those environmentally sensitive areas to be an asset and kind of keep them undisturbed. Village district is going to be kind of more of a mixed use as well as a town center district. And think of village district as something that's at the scale of the Preserve in Hoover, whereas town center would be something like Providence and Huntsville. And again, to caveat, town center, the plan behind that is to locate that near where some of these planned interchanges are going to go for the Northern Belt Line, and that we kind of mirror the amount of residential density with commercial space so that it's a more sustainable development for the area that it's going into.
Have you decided on any targets for that particular development, that town center district?
The areas that we designated as activity center around the Northern Beltline proposed interchanges, those would be, the town center zoning ordinance would be consistent with that, depending on the size of the tract. And I will say we added a lot of stipulations for doing this. It has to have a full-on traffic study. They have to have a certain proportion of commercial space to residential. One of the things we don't want to get into, and I've seen in the past in places I've worked at, is a developer coming in saying, hey, we're going to do mixed use, and then it ends up being, 95% apartments with 5% vacant, ground floor retail. We want to make sure that we're balancing employment with residential so that it's a more sustainable development. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
And then just to wrap it up, one of the things we added was increased design standards with increased density. Per the policy we've had and have kind of been couching our recommendations on in the past couple of months, we've increased the minimum lot frontage for single-family detached homes to 65 feet. There are some caveats to that, again, if you were to provide an alley or a carriage-loaded garage to where you have an increased driveway, we do have some exceptions to where you can decrease that by about 5 feet. We are also decreasing the minimum square footage for our single-family detached homes. Currently at 600 square feet, we decreased that to 400, but that's only for the A1 district. So that would allow for a smaller home to be built, and again, that has to be stick-built from the ground up with a foundation. It can't be a tough shed or something somebody bought off Facebook Market and bring in and that we can't permit because we can't inspect it. It has to be built on site that we take it through the entire inspection process. We also added overlay protections for environmentally sensitive areas. We have increased provisions for fire protection and tornado resilience. And then we also have more, I don't want to say more stringent, but when we bring rezoning cases to P&Z and County Commission, we're requiring traffic impact studies for certain developments if it's a significant upzoning request. That way you all have a better idea of the traffic impact and the transportation impacts that are going to come to your area. And as well as the economic impact analysis will be required if it's an upzoning request for an industrial use. We want to make sure that we're capturing the number of employees they plan on hiring as well as what that economic impact is going to be.
Hey, Josh.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, ma'am, go ahead.
Based upon that SWOT analysis,
Yes, ma'am.
if I had to explain that to my district specifically,
Yes, ma'am.
what would we say is this probably the county's 20-year, 10-year plan? What if we had to put this into layman term?
Yes, ma'am. So I would say our overall goals based off the SWOT analysis should be to increase economic opportunity within the county and to target that in certain areas, not just where it's clustered at. So one of the things we did was we allowed for land use designations for employment center, for instance, in Forestdale along Highway 269 as well, to try and because we recognize in certain areas they're experiencing blight. And if we can not be a barrier to that and we can inhibit or induce employment in those areas, that can hopefully turn those areas around. Even looking at some of the unincorporated parcels in Adamsville Industrial Park that we still have, those are located proximate, as you know, Commissioner, to Docena, really within walkable distance in some instances if it was safe. And to be able to provide that employment, I think, could turn those communities around because really what it is, it's a lack of access to jobs and to employment. And so that's the central goal, and then to support that, we want to provide workforce housing throughout the county.
So maybe I need to restate my ask.
I'm probably misunderstanding you.
No, you're doing fine. So what I'm saying is, would we be safe in saying that this is like a 10-year or 20-year plan of the county to address zoning in Jefferson County?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. So it is a 10.
Is it 10 or 20?
It's a 10-year plan. I do not want to be back here in 20 years bringing something that's very outdated.
Yeah, because then it would be outdated.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
All right.
And really the idea behind it is that, I'm sorry, sir. The idea behind it is that we'll track this on a yearly interval and that we'll provide updates to it as necessary, but then probably have a major update in 5 years from adoption, and then also, as we go on to the comprehensive plan at least. And then we want to continue to make tweaks to the zoning ordinance.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Johnson, while we're on the SWOT analysis on the weaknesses, is lack of sewer access. Are we addressing that?
Yes, sir. I think we've come up with some good provisions, and we're working with ESD to bring developers to the table and see where the sewer lines in, what it takes to get those expanded. We might potentially have another one that we're dealing with now to where they're willing to partner with the sewer system to expand that. I think sewer is an economic development tool, as you're well aware. And, to the extent that we can have those public-private partnerships, I think that helps and helps us to be a good steward.
Josh, you've done a great job with that, and I want to reiterate that we had input from the Greater Birmingham Area Home Builders Association that they largely agree with this, and it is a great plan moving forward. It is not developer driven.
Yes, sir.
It is designed for the people of Jefferson County, for those that are being moved in upon, and for those that are moving in, so that they will both be happy. The key to this is to make sure that we have provisions to redevelop areas that are beginning to go down.
Right.
And we necessarily do not have to go cut down a bunch of trees and clear cut things to put in a development such as this. It's better to redevelop and to reinvigorate an area that is going down. And that's something that we need to work with our economic development team, our infrastructure team for the roads and the sewer, and for our development team to make sure that they work in coordination to get this done. So our county can continue to grow, but grow in a manner which everyone will be pleased and happy. And I think you've done a great job of getting this done, and I certainly do appreciate it.
Mr. President.
With that being said, I'd like to open a public hearing for this.
Yes, ma'am. Did you have
Did you need to say?
No, I can wait until we conclude the public hearing.
This time I'd like to open a public hearing on our zoning resolution amendment 2025. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of or in opposition to this? Yes, ma'am. Would you come up and state your name and your address, please?
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Jessica Saxton. I actually oppose this, and one of the main reasons is because you have a judge in this county who would be exposing children and families who are going to be part of this zoning plan to basically deprivation of rights under the color of law. I have here an affidavit of criminal conspiracy, so I'm going to be providing you service. This is for Judge Brantley.
Are you opposing this plan, or are you here to attack somebody, ma'am?
I'm opposing the plan, but I'm going to drop service here. This is a criminal affidavit for one of the families, Judge Brantley.
I think you're out of order.
Yeah,
I may be
let
out
me
of
do that,
order,
John.
but service.
County Attorney. There you go. Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of or in opposition to this particular issue?
We have to pay attention.
Or anything else?
No, but that's why you have to pay attention to security. They tried to forewarn us, and we should have adhered.
Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Before we go to vote on this item, I do want to thank you, Josh, for the work that you and everyone have done in order to try to get us a plan, not try to give us a plan so we can have some sense of direction, as opposed to when we have these public hearings and we have nothing really to enforce or to go by. So thank you for that. The only ask that I had is, this is for Mr. Marker, is with regard to Jeff Trawick's participation as it relates to this, what we're considering. Did he have any role in this as well? Okay. All right. You know, I don't give directives to staff, so I'm looking at him, but I'm asking you.
The record reflect that they said yes or nodded yes.
Well, so my point for saying that is this, is because we know that we represent the largest county in the state. And so when we make a move in certain directions, then there are others who are watching us.
Yes, ma'am.
And if we say that this is a plan that's going to enhance not only community development, but economic development as well, then I want to make sure that I understand clearly for the record that Jeff Trawick's involvement as our advisor that he's heavily involved in this, because this is the only way you can grow. The declination that you see along Highway 78 and some other parts of the county is a resemblance of the fact of people not being heard. So over time, obviously, the traffic count will decrease because the population will decrease. But that comes with basic decrease in needs being met. So I just want to make sure that we all in concert together in working to ensure that all of Jefferson County is receiving the benefit of it. I want to thank you again for your work. Thank you, Cal, for I know that Heather and some other folk were also involved in it. Everyone involved, thank you, thank you. This commissioner is looking forward to making sure that these things are made tangible where we can see it.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate y'all's support and patience on this, and really appreciate our staff. You know, it was a big lift to revise the comprehensive plan, go through parcel by parcel, and then this wasn't just a zoning ordinance update. It was basically a rewrite in a lot of ways. So it was a big lift, and we really appreciate your patience, Commissioner Stevens. I know you've had a lot of pressure on you in the past months, and you've done a good job of mitigating that. So we appreciate that.
I want to say it's my committee, that Developmental Services, done a great job. I like your forward together, and this is an example of forward thinking. So thank you all, because I know your team did a lot of work to put this together. So thank you.
Thanks.
Move the item.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you very much, Josh. Good job. Next is a zoning case, Z250022. Yasmin Chemin, owner, requests a change zoning to C1, which is commercial, for a car detailing business and warehouse to store equipment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Briefly, this property is located directly across the street from the public shopping center that's there on the corner of Shannon Winona Road and Lakeshore Drive. Currently, this property is vacant. We've seen a lot of transition in this particular pocket of unincorporated area in the county. It's completely surrounded by the city of Birmingham and MXD zoning. Here, what we've got, and you'll see on the aerial photograph, recently there's been a public storage warehouse that's gone in the rear back there. On the corner right here, we've got a gas station that was approved last year. So this area is transitioning from what used to be like a rural residential community to something that's more commercial to complement everything that's on Lakeshore Drive directly across the street. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this particular request. It does comply with the policies of the Forward Together Comprehensive Plan that was adopted by the Planning and Zoning Commission last month. And it was recommended approval without any sort of conditions.
Thank you.
And there was no opposition at the public hearing for Planning and Zoning.
This time I'd like to open a public hearing on Z250022. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of or in opposition to this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed.
Move for adoption.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I want to remind everyone that it does take 3 affirmative votes to have any zoning changes or zoning action. Commissioners, before you have 50 resolutions that were properly vetted in our Tuesday pre-council meeting. Do we have any changes, revisions, or that we need to move for that?
I think there's a recommendation that we pull item 50 for further consideration. And in that light, I would move items 1 through 49 of the agenda.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There is none. Those items have passed. County Manager, is there anything that you need to bring before the board?
No, sir, just that item 50, we got some ideas from and some issues with Motorola in this contract. We have time to put it on the next agenda, but we wanted to explore some other options between now and the next commission meeting, so I appreciate that.
Yes, sir, you're very welcome. County Attorney, good morning.
Good morning. Just to clear the record, that is not appropriate service for the county commission, and appreciate the way that was handled by security. Once the chair declares someone is out of order, the removal is appropriate.
Very welcome. County Commission, Commissioner Boland.
Nothing for the good of the order. Thank you.
Commissioner Tyson. Good morning. Have a good weekend, she says. That may be a first. Y'all remember that. Commissioner Scales.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I do want to say, Cal, if you don't mind, we had a meeting just the other evening with Forestdale, and I'd like to make sure, because I'm hoping that, Mr. President, what we will do is being that we have now adopted a zoning, an official zoning plan, that we will then follow that up with some sort of town hall meeting style or something so that the public knows exactly what we're doing, how we're going about doing it. I think that that would be in the interest of the residents of Jefferson County as well as those potential business owners that we have existing and those who would desire to come. I think communication is going to be key. We do a lot of good work here, but we have to continue to tell our own story. Nobody's going to tell it. They're going to give a snippet of what they say. That's whether you're a media that's present or media that's not present. So, hint to the wise, Mr. Market, make sure that Office of Public Information is making sure that we try to coordinate some sort of effort. Again, I want to thank everyone involved for taking the public's feedback and developing a plan that we can be able to utilize as commissioners. One thing I do want to say, too, Mr. President, I'm glad that our county attorney addressed that. Moving forward, I would ask county attorney, how do you think that we need to move in anything else similar in nature? Because all it takes, these meetings are streamed. So all it takes is for one to think they can do it, and then others will subsequently follow. And you do know that we have some other actions that is requiring our attention, and we don't need no other surprises. So if something else happens like that, we just want to be able to govern ourselves accordingly to protect the integrity of the meeting and our proceedings. Thank you.
Commissioner Knight.
Well, today it felt like fall. So welcome fall, and here we go.
That's right. Again, I want to thank the staff for working through this comprehensive plan that we're working with for all of our departments to work together to get that done. And to kind of reiterate what Commissioner Scales was talking about, this was the Forestdale corridor and the 269 corridor were both of those were heavily considered as future areas. And all of this is going to be centered around the northern belt line in the future. And as it develops and comes more to fruition, you'll be able to see that the county had the foresight to go ahead and make these changes prior to the actual construction of that particular area. Would like to remind some of our municipalities that they need to exhibit that same foresight as they look to the future, because it moves through many municipalities, and sometimes there arises a conflict, and we want to make sure that those are handled before dollars are spent. Okay, because when you have to go back and give more dollars for something, or to spend more money than's needed or necessary, that comes out of the taxpayers' pockets. And it's easier to use that judgment and foresight before you spend money than it is after you've already done it, because costs everyone. Thank y'all for everything you've done. This meeting is recessed until further notice.